To start, let's talk about the plan for today, right? We'll take some questions. We're going to do the homework quiz. Today's the review day. Test would be next class. Ideally, you had give me a half sheet today.
What?
Yeah, I don't have anything else for you to do other than the homework quiz. How long does it take to write a half sheet? I don't know.
Can we move the test to next week?
Next week?
Like, wait, what's on Monday? Is it an interview day?
Sydney, I'm going to be honest with you. The next chapter, by the time you're talking about taking a test next week, the next day we're going to be taking the next chapter's test.
As long as it's not this week. No. I had so many tests this week.
Well, is it Wednesday?
I just studied from Wednesday. If it's Wednesday, we have a Friday instead.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, I had it
We're chilling.
Okay, let's just move on with what we're trying to get down today. We'll talk about the test once the homework quiz and stuff is finished. Okay, I'm happy to listen to what you're saying. Does anyone have homework questions that we'd like to deal with? Ava.
It's just like a regular question.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know what it's from, but it's science squared 3 pi over 8 with the power reducing energies.
Sine squared 3 pi over 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Where's my identity sheet? So this one's clear power reducing identity since the sign squared in it. So I'm going to go ahead and find my power reducing identity. Find the one for sine. And that's going to be 1 minus cosine of 2 times 3 pi over 8 all over 2.
Could you get the angle first, then?
Sure. I'm just electing not to do it since I don't actually have to manipulate anything. But certainly you could convert it into degrees first if you wanted to. 2 times 3 pi over 8 is just 3 pi over 4. That's a unit circle angle. So I'm just going to go look at my unit circle and find 3 pi over 4. Cosine of 3 pi over 4 is negative root 2 over 2. That's why I didn't bother with it for a power reducing, because all I have to do is multiply the fraction. I don't have to try to break it into 2 fractions or something that's something difficult there. You could if you wanted to, though. It's not wrong to do that. Ava, are we okay? Yeah. Okay. And then I just need to get rid of the fraction inside a fraction, so I'll just multiply the top and bottom by 2. So that distributes. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative of a negative is positive, and then 2 times root 2 over 2 just becomes root 2. And the denominator 2 times 2 is 4. And that'll do us. Does that feel okay?
Could you do a tangent? Just something that means.
A sum and difference for tangent?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm just going to make one up if you don't have anything in specific ready. Okay. Sure. Tangent of 165. How are we going to break that up? With sum and differences. 120 plus 45. That sounds good to me. So I'll go and I'll look at my sum difference identities for tangent. We did the sum. So we're going to have tan of 120 plus tan of 45 over 1 minus tan of 120 times tan of 45. At this point, I'll go to my unit circle. At 120 degrees, tangent is y over x. And then 45, again, y over x. Does that feel okay so far? So that's just 1, right? Root 2 over 2 divided by root 2 over 2. Here, the over 2's cancel. So my numerator is root 3 plus 1. And my denominator is going to be 1 minus, and it's going to be root 3 times 1. And now I just need to get rid of the radical in my denominator. So I'll multiply by the conjugate. That's the same thing as the denominator, just with the opposite sign in the middle. So we'll FOIL out the numerator, root 3 plus root 3 squared plus 1 squared plus root 3 squared. And then the bottom is just a difference of 2 squares. Feel okay? I know the squares are going to cancel the square roots. That one's just supposed to be a regular root 3. That's a goof up on my part. Sorry. So if I combine like terms on top, I have 3 plus 1. That's a 4. And then I have 1 root 3 and a second root 3. That's 2 root 3's. On the bottom, that's 1 minus 3. That's negative 2. So I can write that single fraction as 2 fractions with the common denominator of negative 2. When I reduce those, I get negative 2 minus root 3. What do you guys think? Reese? Sure. So let's just say side A is 5, side B is 4, and side C is 3. What situation are we in? Side, side, side. And for side, 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 we use a law of cosines. Before I start this problem any further, what do I need to check, though? Yeah, I need to check if there's a triangle possible, right? The sum of the two legs has to be bigger than the hypotenuse. That's true. I'd want to put that on my note card as something to remember to check on a side, side, side situation. Now we have 3 angles to solve, right? When I have 3 angles left to solve, which angle do I find? Biggest first. If there's 3 angles left, I want to find that biggest angle first. Which angle is going to be the biggest, A, B, or C? A. How do we know A is the biggest? Because side A is the biggest. So using my law of cosines, I'll have A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC times cosine of angle A. Again, the way I remember this is the angle we're solving for in the side. You know, the side that corresponds to the angle is the one that's the lonesome. Is the Lone Ranger there by himself. What letter you put in the other spots doesn't really matter. As long as the angle you know about and its corresponding side are the 2 ends of your problem. Okay, To get the cosine or the angle A by itself, I'm going to start by subtracting 4 squared and 3 squared from both sides. And then I'm going to divide by -2 times 4 times 3. And then we're going to do cosine inverse of both sides to cancel out the cosine. So far, so good. At this point, it's calculator time. I want to check my mode since I haven't used my calculator in a minute. Get that into degree mode there. So cosine inverse, and I'm going to use that fraction command because this one right here is a nightmare to get into your calculator with parentheses. But if I use that fraction command, I can just type it in exactly like it looks on my sheet of paper, and boy, that makes life a lot easier. So that's 90 degrees. Oh, look at that, Mr. Kulek. It's like you planned it or something. So in this special case, what else could you do if you notice that this is 90 degrees? You could SOHCAHTOA it from here. Now let's pretend that we can't. With 2 angles remaining to solve, which angle should I solve for first? The bigger or smaller of the two? It does matter. It can matter, I should say. It won't in this case. The smaller next, yeah. So whenever you have 2 angles remaining to solve, you want to find the smaller of the two first. The reason you want to follow the order when we're discussing this is you don't want to accidentally end up into or falling into an SSA case where you find the wrong part in a triangle, right? Remember, in the SSA case, you can get 2 sets of answers. You don't want to accidentally stumble into that case and get the wrong of the 2 answers and not realize that what you just did. If you follow the instructions like we've been giving you, you manage to avoid any SSA case where you can end up with 2 triangles. That's why we're saying in the SSS case, biggest first when 3 angles remain. Can't have an SSA with 2 answers if you're finding the biggest angle. And then with 2 angles remaining, if we find the smaller of the 2 angles next, you'll ensure that the side is, you know, that you're finding the smallest side is opposite the smallest angle. You can't have an SSA case in that situation, or 2 triangles in that situation either. So that's the why we're doing it in that order, is you don't accidentally get a 2 answer situation where the answer you found isn't the right one of the 2. Okay. Of those 2, B and C, which one am I looking for? C. How did you know C was the smallest? Because the side length is smallest. Okay, to solve for angle C then, I'm going to cross multiply, divide, and then do the sine inverse of both sides. So again, I'm going to go to my calculator. I'm going to use that fraction command. And I get 36.87. And then to find my last angle B, that's easy because it's just going to be the 180 minus the other 2. So it's like 53.13. Does that feel okay? Definitely would be on the homework quiz. Can I watch the what? Scroll up.
Can we do one more?
Ava, what's up? I check on top of the file cabinet. If I have any more, that's where they would be.
Can you do a log sign?
Sure. Okay. So I would draw a picture here to start. I didn't need to do that on the other one because, well, the side is pretty obvious without even drawing a picture, right? There's only 3 sides. So if I go and I look at this picture, what situation am I in here? Angle, side, angle. Now, when solving an angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side, the order in which you do things doesn't matter, which is lovely. What's the law of sines case where really you have to be careful? The SSA case, right? That's ones we're using the law of sines to deal with that case, but you gotta be real careful in the order and how you're doing things because sometimes there's no triangle possible, sometimes there's 1 triangle, sometimes there's 2 triangles. Yeek. Okay. So, what can we find right away almost for free? Angle C, right? I didn't mean to make this 90 degrees also. Let's fix that. I'm gonna make that 28. There. Everybody's okay? All right. Now that I have that, I have a side and an angle that I know both of, right? That's going to allow me to start my law of sines. So I'll do sine of 28 degrees over 10 equals. Now, does it matter which side I solve for next? Nope. The order in which you solve for sides never matters. So which side would we like, A or B? Let's do alphabetical order. Right? That's a reason. Cross multiply and divide. Cross multiplied and divide. We changed the problem from 18 to 28 because it was going to be another 90 degree angle and I didn't really mean to do that this time. The other one I meant to do it just so we could say like, hey, if it comes out to be 90 degrees, you can always use SOHCAHTOA. Let's not, because that's not in general what you'd want to do, but I didn't want to do that twice. That was just me being careless because you asked me to make up a problem on the spot, which is fine. No, it's okay. You were talking while I said it and changed it. So that's 20.26. And now to find side B, I can just do the Pythagorean theorem, right? Because we have 2 of the 3 sides. No! Why not? It's not a right triangle. What do I have to do instead? I have to do the law of sines again, this time with angle B. I always use the one that I'm didn't really have to round for. If I don't have to use a rounded answer, I just choose not to use a rounded answer. or an answer that I had to find myself. I'd prefer to use givens, where I'm like, I can't have made a mistake because I did something silly, like, like I accidentally copied down the answer on my calculator wrong, like something like that, where it's like, oh, all the rest of the answers are wrong because I wrote down the wrong answer to start with, and I use that answer to find everything else. So again, cross multiply and divide, and we're donezos.
Bro, what is this? Alright, we're ready.
So 2098. And what's the check here? You want the smallest across from smallest. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I murdered this whole problem. What did I do wrong?
You didn't do the order.
So like every one of these where I did this, it was all wrong. It was the right idea. Why didn't you tell me?
I don't think I was right.
Wait, where do we get 80 from? Oh.
Yeah, so I just murdered the whole problem. But whatever, it was the right idea. Okay? Yeah. Because how did I find out that I murdered the whole problem? I tried to check it, right? Where the biggest side should be across from the biggest angle and the smallest should be across from the smallest. And I went here and I looked and I went, well, that ain't right. Right? But that's the check. All right. 3.
2, 1.
Let's do it. Okay. If you have your equation sheet, go ahead and take that out. You can use that. You'll need the unit circle. I'll put a unit circle up also, but
Can I use what we just did?
no.
If I wrote on my sheet, if I wrote this I use for side, that's fine. Okay. Well, I wrote down what you use for
I wasn't even looking at faces. Yeah. I just passing things out. I think all my spares have been borrowed. So let me look here for a second if I have something else. But I'm pretty sure I don't have another graphic calculator, unfortunately. Notice on each of the problems I give you like a hint or basically what you need to know, the formula you need to use for it. So which will be better than nothing. It's best I can do. All the other ones have been taken. Maybe you can grab, Joey's probably has enough charge on it now from sitting on the charger that you could steal his for the quiz and then plug it back in, because he has a calculator that was uncharged and just plugged it in and borrowed one kind of thing. You know what I'm saying, Allie?
When I need it.
Okay. I'm just throwing that out there, just trying to problem solve this out, right? So you have our eyes on our own paper, right? I tell you what to do on all the problems. I give you the formula, even if you didn't have your equation sheet, which you did. Everybody did, it seemed like, when I walked by. But I even helped narrow it down for you, right? Now I'm gonna be very honest here. From what I observed here today, you guys are not ready at all to take a test. Okay. So it won't be tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, it won't be Wednesday.
I don't want to take it next week.
Really don't feel bad for us. Lay down the hammer. Give it Wednesday.
No. I think that's a bad idea.
I think Friday. Sydney, stop complaining. You have a week. I have 3 tests this week. Oh my gosh. So if everybody else already be
I think let's tentatively say Friday. We'll reassess on Wednesday. Okay. You could give it to me on Wednesday, would be okay. The half sheet you could give to me Wednesday, that would be fine. Wednesday, count on another homework quiz just like you just saw. It'll be like the same thing, different numbers.
Okay.
And I'd like to see you guys work on it on your own without like trying to converse and copy off anyone else. And without having to ask me, like, how do I do algebra questions? Okay? So I just want, look, we're just being honest, right? That's what I would like to see. We're going to take a little bit more time. We're going to do another practice run at this, okay? It'll look just like what you saw today. You know, might have like, instead of an angle sum or difference problem, maybe it's a half angle or something. But like, it's the same ideas, like, right? Like, it's the same problems. Okay? Everybody's all right? So we're going to try it again. Look over some of this stuff in the meantime. Do some of the review, right? You know, go back and do a couple problems from worksheet 1 from chapter 6. If you're rusty on that stuff, although the bigger issues seem to be the solving the triangles problems. Do some practice, do some more practice on that before next time. Do some of the review problems for those 2 situations, law of sines and law of cosines. Okay? We should be able to do, this should be historically one of the easier tests. Because all the problems are essentially the same. Like, once you've got it, things usually go really well, aside from like, oops, I made an oopsie here or there. Okay? Like, these problems are all really the same problem over and over and over again. You do the same order of the same steps, the same orders. Like, once you've got it, you've got it. You just got to do a little bit of more practice and be tight with your algebra skills, and I think it'll be okay. This is a good opportunity to do well. I don't want to rush us through this and have it go poorly and us miss that opportunity to do well on a test to start the semester. Okay? Does everybody feel okay, other than Sydney, about the schedule?
Yes. Okay. She'll get over it.
Sydney, if you want to take yours on Wednesday, you could take yours on Wednesday.
Consider it.
Okay. You let me know. Okay.
Wednesday, not Friday. Do you want to take it early?
Wow, people like you amaze me.
Yeah, truly. Could never.
No cars do Wednesday.
Yes, you could give me your half sheet on Wednesday if you'd like.
So when you when you do this, how come you found the angle A and not like any other angle to like see if it was two triangles?
Because it's the only one I could solve for,
Oh, okay.
right? Because I know neither side C or angle C, so there's no way I can find any of the C's. Have to look at angle A. Isaac, on all tests, you're allowed to make like a half sheet of notes. You can write anything you want on it, front and back. Needs to be turned in before the first class gets the test. So Wednesday, end of class would be fine. But you put anything on you want on there, formulas, equations, examples, absolutely. Whatever you want. Can be like notes yourself on like how to do the problem. Like you'd have narrative along with your work or whatever. Like whatever you want.
That sheet we're using, like the unit circle and all the, will we add that?
You get a unit circle, you get all the formulas.
Okay.
Okay. Any day during community time, we can make up whatever the homework quiz that you miss. You don't even have to tell me in advance. You can just kind of pop in and be like, hey, I missed the homework quiz. I'm ready. After school's tough for me. But CTs are any day during CT. Could be Friday, could be whatever. It doesn't even have to be before the test. Like I'm not worried about it.
Me and
So-
Fran also won't be there on Wednesday.
You and who?
Fran.
Okay. Oh, for the lockdown? How's that going? Are you excited?
No one wants to do it, but we can say.
Ooh.